Welcome back, everybody! Look at this!
1/8, just a tiny little bit. Come on, darling, the mother's screaming like crazy. Darling, I love you, darling. Mom, I can't do it.
Did you see it? Okay, great! Now that you're warmed up, let me explain. This is Season 3 of the Political Yaoi Dating Sim Love Meter Yandere Plan Master Diagram! Part 3. Yaoi lovers, lock in. So last time on the Yaoi News Network, we talked about regime change. And if you haven't already watched part 1 and 2 of Season 3 of the Political Yaoi Dating Simulator Master Diagram, you should go and watch them. Here's what they look like. Interesting, right? So that was regime change internationally. But what about regime change domestically? Well, have I got some news for you! It's out with N and in with M. Christy Gnome gets kicked from the party for Mark Wayne Mullin. Now, Mark Wayne Mullin, he's right here, right? Is obviously a beta, and he has a very long and hard history of pining for Trump. And for all the new people watching, Trump is a fragile yandere tsundere fusion omega who has currently been in heat for 1 whole year. As you can see by my very analytical and accurate diagram. You can tell it's accurate because there are red arrows everywhere. And if you don't know anything about omegas, you might be saying, okay, Lumie, heat for 1 year, like, yeah, big deal. Yes, it is a big deal! It is a big deal! Heat for 1 year means that Donald Trump's omega heat waves have been compounding and expanding over and over and over and over on top of each other, which means that instead of producing maybe 1 or 2 heat stink waves, right, where his omega pheromones come out through the heat, he emits like 10 billion of them. And because there are 10 billion heat waves, they can travel way farther, miles and miles, to beta Mark Wayne Mullin, who smells them and wants to get with omega Donald Trump. How do I know? Because Trump's musky omega baby scent made Mark Wayne Mullin cry twice!
And I think at one time or next, we should say thank you. Thank you for being a strong leader. But there's no way in God's green earth you guys can ever give the president, at least President Trump, any credit. Sorry.
He got so protective of him that it choked him up to tears. And so in the natural cycle, crying made Mullin's beta scent start leaking out, which was then something that triggered Trump's heat more because he could smell him reacting with protectiveness to Trump. So what did he do? He made room for the beautiful beta by kicking out non-Yaoi Christy Gnome! And you'd think that this would have made Christy Gnome sad, right? Maybe even sadder when she took her own puppy out back. But she didn't have time for that, because she was worried about a different set of puppies. So as you can see on my screen, Mark Wayne Mullin gets sworn in, and Omega Trump reveals 2 things about him that nobody knew. 1, he's really good at piping, because he's a plumber, as you can see from this analysis. 2, he's really good at wrestling. Play the clip!
Mark Wayne is also a career as an MMA fighter. That's why I looked at his ears and I said, I'm not going to fight with him. During which he went totally undefeated. He was undefeated during his career, and he's been inducted into the Oklahoma Wrestling Hall of Fame.
That was a lot of information, so let me give you a visual aid. Here's an accurate representation of what was going through Trump's imagination when he said that to Mark Wayne Mullin. Trust me, this is peer reviewed. Because, as we come to find out, oiled up muscly men who touch and grope each other for sport are Trump's type. Exhibit A, UFC fighter Paulo Costa.
You're a beautiful guy, great fighter. Put me to more than you win this top fight. I'll give you a hundred. You look so good. You're too good looking to be a fighter. You are some fighter. Thank you.
I really don't think I have to say much here, but Trump met him on a date, on a 3-way date, not just a regular date, with Dana White and Marco Rubio. As you can see on my screen, while JD Vance was busy failing his Iranian negotiations. Man, I can't wait for his yandere arc. Exhibit B, Jake Paul! Who he started sizing up.
There was a slight size
variance, like about 7 inches and about 70 pounds. And I said, Jake, I'm president. How can I do your local podcast? But his local podcast is big stuff. And he's big stuff. Jake, you got to come up. Come here. Come on. You got to come.
And not only did Trump prove that size really does matter, he also said this.
Say, I'm going to make a prediction that you will be, in the not too distant future, running for political office. Okay? And you have my complete and total endorsement, okay?
That is a presidential endorsement of Jake Paul. Team 10 Jake Paul. Trump is obviously grooming Jake to be in his political Yaoi harem. And this might be the reason that Jake Paul is sweating buckets of pheromone. Look at his armpits. What causes sweating? Vigorous activity. Look, I got a diagram for you. By sweat shield undershirts, I got a diagram. What causes sweating? Physical activity, vigorous activity. They might have, because I legally have to say that, they might have done a vigorous activity before the meeting, aka a vigorous date. And what type of activity could they have done? Riding! Like bull riding. Because they're in Kentucky. Here's an example. See? And here's a perspective diagram of what that date might have looked like. Now let's move on, because these are all pretty exciting domestic routes, right? They're kind of exciting. I could get excited over it. Trump definitely could get excited over it. But there is one domestic route that we almost forgot. JD Vance. Just kidding. It's not JD Vance. It's hot-headed tsundere Pete Hegseth, who has really good muscle memory.
So we're keeping our hand on that throttle as long as hard as is necessary.
That's pretty impressive, right? Trump thinks so too. Let's take a closer look.
As long as hard as is necessary.
Now I know what you're gonna say, okay? Lumie, that's too far-fetched. He didn't mean it like that. He doesn't mean to say all this yaoi full stuff. You're taking it too out of hand. You just have a dirty mind, Lumie. Oh yeah? Well, what's this?
But they came in so fast and so hard, and these guys knew exactly what to do. Let's go, come on, get in, let's go, pwah. They came one right after another, not at the same time. They don't want to come at the same time. They had to come right after each other. They didn't have any room. There was barely any room to land. Tiny little patch of very wet earth and sand. So I'm so proud of the people.
And this!
I don't ask for screening of the questions. You can ask me anything you want. You can talk sex. You can do whatever the hell you want.
Exactly! I'm not the one saying it! You can't even argue with that. I'm not the one saying it! It's not on my mind. He's the one thinking of big and hard things. He's the one thinking of balls! That's right! I'm bringing it up! His new nest that he is so desperate for! The ballroom. I can't escape it, so you can't either. He keeps talking about this stupid room for balls that he's not even supposed to build anymore unless he gets congressional approval. Now let's sit and think real quick. Remember all the way back a few months ago when Trump really wanted Greenland for a nest because it was so icy and his heat was too hot for him and he wanted to cool down, so he was trying to take it away and keep it for himself? And remember how he kept threatening people to get it, but then he never did? Well, what can we assume from this? Trump goes pretty far for his nests. Even if he never gets them, he goes pretty far for them because he really wants them and he's a greedy bottom omega, right? Well, guess what Omega Trump did? He used the potential shooting at the White House Correspondents' Dinner to beg for balls! Look at this clip.
I didn't want to say this, but this is why we have to have all of the attributes of what we're planning at the White House. It's actually a larger room and it's much more secure. It's drone-proof, it's bulletproof glass. We need the ballroom.
And now take a look at my screen. He even had all his Omega and Beta and maybe Alpha buddies in office help him write an essay to get his ballroom. Here, look at this. Let's read this together. This was posted on his Truth Social moments after, by the way. The fact that an assassin came mere seconds from shooting the president, the Omega president, lays bare, that DC does not have a secure space for large high-profile events. After the attack, a bipartisan chorus of legislators, analysts, and media pundits have vocally expressed support for completion of the ballroom project. See example number 1. The source is all Twitter posts. Look, dude, this is freaking hilarious. The president of the United States is straight up omega maxing. He's omegaing all over the place. His heat is getting to his head. It's making his head so hot. His brain is beginning to like cook a little bit. That's why he doesn't remember stuff. And he keeps talking about pens at his meetings. And then he keeps talking about Biden at his meetings. And then he keeps moaning on the stand. And he thinks that the ballroom would really help. Because just like Greenland, he's gonna make the floor all granite, which is gonna be really cold, so he can pile all his pillows on it and lie down and have a peaceful, icy nap to bring down his heat. But he can't get that yet, so he settles for the next best thing, an alpha. But not just any alpha, an alpha king, or maybe an alpha king sandwich. That's right. Trump met with the King of Saudi Arabia and of the United Kingdom separately for now. So let's go in chronological order. He first met with the King of Saudi Arabia, who he said was touching him a lot.
And I also love the King of Saudi Arabia. What a man he is. When I was there, we bonded. He would grab me to get up. He was a little frail at the time, and this was a long time ago, and he's still doing well. And he'd grab my arm to get up when I was sitting next to him. And they said that's the only time he's ever grabbed anybody. He would grab me all the time. And I said, I think he likes me. And he did like me, and he still likes me, and he's a great man.
This is because as an Omega in heat, as you can see here, here's his like heart tail because he's in heat, and here's his blush because he's in heat, and here's him saying he doesn't want a DILF, he wants a GILF. But anyways, as you can see here, he is an Omega, and he knows that Alpha Kings are more likely to call Omegas like him Princess Omega Trump, which is something he really likes and he's really looking forward to. He just doesn't make it very clear or known because he's a tsundere, and so he can't do stuff like that. And that's why, in true Omega fashion, he's not just going for the King of Saudi Arabia. You'd think one king would be enough, right? But no, he wants 2 kings. Why have 1 king when you can have 2? So he meets with the King of the United Kingdom, King Charles. But this is where it gets kind of weird, because he posts this Truth Social on the day that they're meeting of an article revealing how the male has traced Trump's family tree and found out he is the king's cousin. And he says, wow, that's nice. I've always wanted to live in Buckingham Palace. I'll talk to the king and queen about this in a few minutes with a lot of exclamation points. And now you're gonna say, Lumie, that's incest. Does this really become another route? Yes. This is unfortunately the first official incest route in the political Yaoi dating sim master diagram, which I know is crazy, but if we're being really honest, this is par for the course if Trump wants to be called Omega Princess Trump. Royalty just does that. Now, at this point in the video, you might be saying, okay, Lumie, I get it. Trump's Omega plan, I thought it was falling apart in part 1 and 2. But now that we're in part 3, it seems like, at least domestically, he's doing pretty well. It seems like domestically all his routes love him, right? Yes, but also no! Because I have kept one thing from you for suspense. While Trump was desperately grabbing at all of the routes he could, he neglected his biggest route of all time, his biggest harem of all time, his hoe. The T in harem of all time, the T is silent. The Omegas, who have all been slowly falling out of love with him, especially his top 3 Omegas, the big 3, Astolfo Alex Jones, Felix Tucker Carlson, and Venti Joe Rogan. And they have all been speaking out publicly about Trump and distancing themselves from him. And it's gotten so bad that Trump's love meter with the collective Omega harem, all of the Omegas in Omega, has dropped by 21 Yaoi love points. That's a lot. That's way a lot. Because now he's lower than even his ex, who he keeps calling Sleepy Joe Biden, and he's just low in general, but we all know that Trump loves bottoming, so I guess it makes sense. So I think even though greedy Omega bottom Trump will want as many men as possible, and even though it might look like he has been pursuing a lot of routes in this video, losing his win condition Omega harem might be a super big problem for any future route progressions. Because if he does not have that Omega backing, he might not be able to do the Omega things he wants anymore, especially kissing other men. Now, I know I've been yapping for a really long time. All of this talking to you guys to say what? Now we get to this point and you guys say, Lumie, I understand season 3, but I need you to season me. What is your point? My point is the Trump Yaoi is real. And if you somehow still don't believe me, I got you. Let's end the video calmly and let me give you some food for thought. Roll the clip.
I love this guy. He's so nice to me. Every time I watch, and I appreciate. We're not supposed to be seduced that way, right? But I am. When somebody's nice to me, I love that person. Even if they're bad people, I couldn't care less. I'll fight to the end for them. So I appreciate it.
Exactly! I keep telling you guys, it's not me. I'm not the one making the Yaoi real. He said it! It's him! So remember that, Yaoi deniers. I'll see you next time.